Get in. So let's get into the first skill. So we have the Magee D Spin here, which I think I've done once on my channel before, so if you guys have seen that, then fair enough, but this is perfect for a winger situation. So I've used it running towards the line. Now you don't always have to use it running towards the line, but I think it works best then. There's a lot of situations where the ball's played in front of you and you can't get there, so you have to follow the ball right to the line, and there's a defender on your back, whether on the left or right, doesn't really make a difference. And once you do that turn, they think you're going to come right back at them, and that's when you do that little flick to get away down the line. Whichever way you want to go, you can go left, you can go right, it doesn't make a difference, but as long as you're getting away from the defender. Now in order to do this skill, what you're doing is like the Cruyff turn. For you guys that don't know the Cruyff turn, you're stepping one foot to the left of the ball, or the right, depending on which foot you're doing it with. Say you were doing it with your right foot like we were, you step your left foot just to the left side of the ball, and then you're taking your right foot and bringing it around on like a 90-degree angle, and then pulling it back towards the other direction as if you were doing a 180. And that's when you turn your body again on another 90-degree and push out with your other foot, which will be your left foot. So you're going from right to left with this skill. Now I'll slow it down for you so you can see it properly, but you're going around with your right foot and then flicking it with your left. You can do it with your left foot, obviously. You're just going around with your left foot, making sure your right foot's just to the right hand side and turning out with your right foot. Now the smoother you do the skill, the better chance you've got of pulling it off and getting away from the defender to dummy them. Now I'd say I've used this like a bunch of times in games, and every time I have used it and gone to use it, it's worked. So I would recommend trying to use this in a game or in training or against your friends, whatever you want to do. The name of the skill comes from Magee D, which was a lad I think called Ryan Magee D. I might be wrong. Ian Magee D, something like that. He played in Ireland, I believe. You guys can correct me on this, but he was like the first person that was seen in a game, so they called it the Magee D Spin, and it's just stuck. I used to use it a lot on FIFA, I still do. And that's why I love it so much. It's just something that I see all the time, so to use it in training stuff is perfect. But yeah, just give this one a few practices. It might not come straight away. You might have to practice it in two little bits. One, the Cruyff turn, and then the touch out. But yeah, just give it a shot and see what you think. So another skill you can use as a winger, I do believe this is probably the easiest out of the five, so if you want to practice one to start with, use this one. It's the double feint. Now you're going to step either way, it doesn't really make a difference to start with. You can step right and then left, or left then right. Like I said, it does not make a difference at all. But it can be extra useful if you've already used the single feint in that same game. So the single feint is just one drop the shoulder and then move out. With the double, you drop in both shoulders and then going the way originally that you feinted. Now like I say, it's probably used best on more skillful defenders. If you're coming up a decent team and you know they've got good defenders, they probably will read the single feint. They won't get dummied too much, they won't step, and you won't break any ankles. But with this double feint, you can pretend to go one way, pretend to take it out, and that's when they think you're going to go, and that's when you come back the same way you started on and go down line or inside, wherever you want to go. It doesn't really make a difference. I've used both examples of going inside and also going outside. You can just step either way. It doesn't really make a difference, like I say. I'd say it's one of them things that you'd mainly use towards the box if you're trying to gain a couple of yards to just cross it in or have a shot or something or make a pass. Then you can just drop both shoulders and just get that extra 2 yards, 3 yards, whatever you need to do what you want to do. It's very simple, like I said. Just make sure you get the emphasis on the dummy. If you don't put the emphasis on your shoulders of where you're dropping and stuff like that, the defender's just going to read it. He's just going to stand there and he's just going to try and win the ball off you, and it's going to make it much easier for him if you don't use that emphasis. So that doesn't just go for this skill either. Use this on all skills. Every single skill you use, the emphasis is so important. You really want to drop your shoulder and dummy them. That's part of the skills. If you watch the likes of Dybala and Messi and stuff when they're doing skills, it's all about their body movement. Hazard as well in the Premier League, like their body movement is mainly the part of the skill. It doesn't matter what they do at the feet. That's just kind of a bit of trickery and just to throw them off. But it's all about their body movement, the way they move their shoulders, they move their legs, the way they feint and stuff. It's just perfect. Ronaldinho used to be the best at it when he used to play, if you guys know who he is. Just make sure you're really dropping your shoulder in order to get past them, because without that, you're not going to beat them. So I did mention the double feint was probably the easiest one. This is about the same level as the double feint. I think it's very, very basic, very easy, but at the same time, it can be difficult depending on how quick and how much time you have in the game. Now, there's two parts to this trick. It's the drag back and then flick. Now, you can use it as a pass or a skill, so I've used both examples for this. The pass is a little bit easier because you're more stationary. You don't have to move too much. You can just drag it back, flick it away, and then move for a 1-2 or whatever you want to do. But you really got to make sure you get the lift on the pass, otherwise the ball's just going to get cut out. They're going to block it line. The point of the little chip in it is because the defender's going to stick their leg across to stop the pass, but because you're lifting it, it allows it to go over the defender's legs and then go to your player. And if you don't get it over the leg, then they're going to cut it out and, you know, they're going to go attack themselves. But moving on to the skill, I think the most important part of it is moving your body with it. You'll see the best example was Nathan when he did his. He kind of like moved his body as he did the chip, and that allowed him to get down line quicker. whereas with my example I was quite stationary when I did it, that meaning the defender had more time to like get back and win the ball again. But make sure you're moving your body as you do it. If you're very stationary while you're doing the skill, you're not going to beat them regardless of what dummy you've put on it, because they're just going to win the ball and know which direction you're going to go in. You want to try and open your body as if you're looking backwards or to go inside, and then you quickly move your body and go line and take the ball wherever you want. It's a very nice one to get a few yards as well if you're in their area, you're trying to get a cross in. Little chip over the leg, they step to tackle you. That means they have to turn then and try and get a foot in again. By that time you've probably got the cross in or the shot away, whatever you want to do, or a little pass. But yeah, that little lift over is either going to win you a free kick or you're just going to get past them. There's no way they're going to get the ball because they don't put the leg in the air. They would never do that. They're always going to put the leg just straight across you to try and block the ball down the line. So if you put that little chip in, it's used a lot in futsal. I used to use it a lot in futsal and I use it in football now. But yeah, it works very, very nicely. You give this one a little shot. It's not that hard to do, like I say, it's just a drag back and then lift. You can do it on either wings. Don't really do it in the middle of the park. It's not a very good idea because if they do cut it out, then you're kind of stationary and you're not going to be able to get the ball back. So you want to make sure you're doing it down line in either a pass or a little skill. Give it a shot. Okay, so moving on to the fourth skill. This one is called the double step over feint. Now it's two skills combined together and it's used very nicely down the wing. Now I watched a game the other day, I think it was Liverpool versus PSG, I believe, and Mane sends Neymar. He just breaks his ankles. He does a little dummy kind of thing. It's like two feints essentially, but I've seen him use this skill as well and do the exact same thing to other players in the Premier League. Now what you're doing is you're doing a double step over, which is pretty basic. You're putting your foot right around the ball twice, which would sell the defender anyways, and then instead of going out where you normally would, you feint one more time and then go inside. Now it's perfectly used when the ball's kind of slowed down. You'll see in these examples we take a touch out of our feet, and while we're doing the skill the ball slows down. That kind of brings the defender to slow down as well, mentally and physically, and that's when you do the feint, and when you do that they step and you go inside or outside, whichever way you want to go. It's very important that you kind of slow the ball down as you do it. You don't want to do this full pelt. For one, it's too difficult to do it, and if you do, the defender isn't going to kind of know which way you're going to go anyways, so he could end up reading it on accident. If you do it that fast, you want to make sure that the defender is kind of reading what you're doing to start with a double step over, and when you dummy them is with the feint. The double step over is kind of just in there to slow the ball down. You're just kind of tricking them a little bit, kind of throwing them off which way you're going to go, but the feint is where you're going to do them. Now normally you would see the double step over used and then you're going to push it out, but that's what the defender is going to think. But you're going to do the double step over and then feint one way and go the other. And it'll work perfectly if you have used the double step over in the game already, because they think you're going to do that again, and that's when you throw them off again and go inside. It's all about using the skills at the right time of the game in the right places. This is perfect for the wing because you don't really want to use this in the middle of the park or in defense or wherever, because it kind of slows the ball down. Like I say, you want to kind of use it as a way to get a cross in or just beat them a few yards down the line and then whip a ball in, pass it off, whatever you want to do. But yeah, try use this on the wing, not so much in the middle of the park. Slow the ball down as it's coming. Make sure you get the skills on lockdown first. Make sure you start with a single step over first, then move into the double step over, then the double step over feint. Break the skill down in order to be able to do the full thing. Once you've got the basics, then you can move on to the more advanced stuff. Now moving on to the last skill. Now it looks the most difficult, but it actually isn't once you break it down. It is probably the hardest one to pull off in a game, but that's just because of how hard it is to find a situation to do this. But I think it's perfect for the wing. When someone's closing down on like a diagonal run, maybe a right back or left back's closing you down, and they're coming in from the side but kind of defensively, that's the perfect time to pull this off. You can pretend that you're going to go line and then stop the ball and flick it through the legs or around them, whichever one, and you just run around them and get the ball. Now like I said, there's two ways you can do it. You can go for the legs or you can go inside of them. I've showed both examples in this video. The one inside them is a bit more difficult because you've got more ground to cover when you're running inside, so if there's a lot of space it will work fine, but mainly try to go through the legs or straight down line. Now there's one example where it goes straight down the line. I don't think it goes through his legs either. It kind of just goes straight down so you can get a cross in, or like, you know, a little 1-2 pass down the line or something like that, but only use it when you've got a lot of space in behind. Where's your elbow? Now the way you're going to sell the defender on this one, you're going to kind of stop the ball as if you're going to stop altogether, and that's when you're going to flick it. If you kind of run 100 miles an hour, you're kind of making it obvious for the defender to understand what you're going to try and do, and that's going to go forward. You want to try and make sure you stop the ball with one foot in order for them to kind of stop or slow down, or try block the line as if you're just going to run line again, and that's when you're going to flick. The slower you do the skill, the less chance you have of trying to get around them, but at the same time the more chance you've got of dummying the defender. The risk with using this skill, if it doesn't come off and you go for the megs and they close towards the legs, they're going to win the ball, and then they're going to be able to carry on. But if you hit it hard enough with the flick, the bounce off the leg is probably going to put it out for a throw-in or something like that, and it's going to be your ball either way. Or the ball will squeeze through somehow and get around them. But yeah, just make sure when you're doing it, you put enough pace on the flick, and make sure it's on just to be able to beat them. I wouldn't recommend using this 1v1 in the middle of the pitch because it's kind of something that needs to happen on an angle. Like I said, that's why it's so hard to get it in that situation. It's not a hard skill to do. You're literally just putting the foot on the ball and then flicking it with your back leg. It's like a little jump skip when you're doing it as well. Once you stopped it, you're jumping forward and flicking it, and that's how the skill is done. But yeah, I'd recommend only using this on the wing and only when you're in an attacking position. Don't use this in your own half. You'll get in trouble if you lose the ball, and then you can blame me, but I don't want to be blamed. So please just use this in an attacking position.
That'd be better.
Oh, on the camera.
Oh yeah! Okay, so if you did enjoy them 5 skills, let me know down in the comment section which one was your favourite skill, or if you enjoyed the video in general. If you want to check out other stuff, I've got playlists and videos all on my channel, tutorials. Also, I'm uploading my matches from this season if you guys didn't know, so you can go check that out in the description as well. I've got a lot of stuff coming up with some companies that I'm going to be working with, some equipment, and yeah, it's just going to be really, really fun this month. Look forward to October. And yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. If you do, be sure to leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video.